So I really thought that we wouldn't really be starting this because we literally took like an hour and a half.
We already did an interview.
Bro, that's the one thing.
If you would have had the thing running the whole time.
No. But listen, that's the thing about freaking like basketball and sports, especially when it comes to men. Like when we get into our mode and we have a certain like views and stance, like it takes a lot of time. But I'm glad to hear. So welcome everybody to another edition of Convos with Bishop. My name is Marvel Bishop, Mr. No Way But Up. Appreciate everybody having here. We are in the lovely city of Brickell. Before I introduce this man right here, that is has become an acquaintance, but slowly transitioning into a friend of mine. Definitely value him as a person, him as a professional. Honestly, really dope person. Just want to shout out the YouTube viewership. I want to shout out the Spotify, iTunes, all that good stuff. How long we known each other? Literally 2 months, right?
It's literally been the shortest whirlwind of friendship or pre-friendship.
Yeah, definitely. I know because shout out to Elevation Fitness. Pretty much signed up there, and then I met up with him, and definitely a cool person. Mr. Bryan Lockley, right?
Lockley.
Oh, it's Lockley. Damn.
Yes.
You know what? All the time I've been messing up your name for like the past God knows how long. I got you Lock, like Lock.
It's all right. It's that's my nickname, Lock. So it's nothing wrong with that.
You got any like
I think the last name is English or something.
That's what I'm asking. Like where did that come from?
I haven't officially gone through what is it the tree search
or
tree
whatever
search
or 23andMe all that bullshit.
But just the nature of the name, it sounds like it's English, and
we're
not everybody's from Africa, so think about that.
Appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you, man. Thank you for coming on to the show. How you doing? How's your mental health? How you feeling these days? Man. After the LeBron hates, which we'll get into a little later, by the way, but it's fine.
Nobody hates LeBron. I just have
a lot of people hate LeBron. What are you talking about?
Have an opposing view.
Okay, yeah. You can say the same thing about Trump. Everybody hates Trump. No, I just have an opposing view about Trump.
Oh goodness! Did they find the guy who sprayed the bad word on LeBron's garage from a while back?
That was like a year ago.
Did they find him?
No,
probably
not.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
Well, we got to find that guy. Maybe it was the same guy who dealt with Bubba Wallace.
Anyways, all right. So you're funny. So when we first, I totally lost my track, but it's all good. So within Convos with Bishop, man, just want to have a conversation with you about your beginnings, about pretty much where you started. It's funny, man, because almost every single person that I had a conversation with, I actually known them for like years. So this is actually kind of like uncharted territory. Okay. So yeah, man, if you just pretty much start with your humble beginnings and where you started and all that.
All right. So, my name is Bryan. I came from Daytona Beach, so it's the country portion of the state when you refer to it here. Because everybody's like, hey, I hear your accent. Where are you from? Like, I'm from Daytona Beach, but I got cousins from, like, North Carolina and South Carolina and then North Florida, like Lake City. So I'm around country people, let's just say that. So that's where that inflection comes from. So Daytona Beach, I was a basketball guy coming up, played in high school. I was a manager at UCF, enjoyed it. It's one of those schools where they work really hard for everything that they get. So, I ended up working with some great people there, like Jermaine Taylor. Shout out to him. He's in the Big Three right now. Josh Peppers, he's playing in, I think, Japan. He may be retired now. So, working with those guys, just learning about the sport that I played so much in high school. And I wish when I had gotten there, I wish I had played in my position in high school. So I would have had an opportunity to like play for real in college because I had the athleticism, but I didn't have the skill set.
What was your position?
So in Florida, it's home of the 6-foot center. So you could play a press with all guys who are like basically 6 foot and you just put them all over the court. So I was like the Scottie Pippen of the team. I would play defense, offense, play all the spots and, take care of the offense. But when you're playing at college, at my height, I got to be a point guard. I can't play center in college.
What college was that?
So UCF.
UCF? Okay. So what was your right there. When you played ball, like what was your strength when it came to like was it shooting, was it banging in the boards?
I was a streaky shooter. I would say a streaky shooter, kind of like what's your boy J.R. Smith? I would have those moments.
First of all, he's not my. Well, okay. Well,
I would get hot. I would get hot like that, and I would defensively and offense. I could do whatever I wanted athletically on the court, but it was more so reining in the skill set. So you could get by in high school and do that stuff, but when you get matched up with somebody in college and they've been playing that position over and over and over at a high level, and your coach is kind of like, well, I want you to do this, but they're not transitioning you for the next level. And we had a really talented team. Like we'll talk about that later.
And what year? What year was that?
So it was like 2004. Okay. So we had a team that was good enough to go to state my junior and senior year, and we'd been the best team in the district. We got to the playoffs and we lost in the first round. Like we lost to our rival, and we had beaten them earlier in the year, but we had done some things. We'd played out of character. Yeah. Guys weren't prepared like they should have been. We should have made a nice little run that year. Yeah. So our senior year came. We lost one of our big players to the team that we lost to the year before, and we ended up being like top 10 because we ended up beating Oviedo High School, something like that. They were one of those nice teams. And then go down to the end. We go up and down because guys that were trying to figure out what they want to do. But it's like, everybody's good in the regular season, but when we get to the playoffs, we got to have guys who understand their role and how they're going to contribute to the team. Get to the playoffs, we squeak by the games, but then we end up playing Orlando Edgewater. They had like dudes who were Florida State. Darius Washington was on that team. Yeah. They had dudes who were playing D-line on Florida State, like, these All-American 6'7", 6'8" dudes. So, you need guys who understand their role to beat these teams. So then, you put me in the game, it's like, okay, go stop Darius Washington. All right, that's cool. Now, what do you want me to do offensively to help, get our other guys looks? Because our point guard's flustered, our two guard, he's a little nervous. So, I'm able to create shots and help other people, but I've been playing so out of position, it's kind of like I'm reluctant to do the stuff that I feel that I'm good at, but I haven't been told. It's like, work on your ball handling, work on your skill set. So little things like that. Would have been great to have been able to kind of develop those skills, so I would have had an opportunity to play.
So did you have aspirations like going to the NBA?
Well, everyone has aspirations when you're younger, but then once you get a little bit older, it would have been like nice to play college ball because I really liked the environment. The coaches and the staff was cool. It'd have been a nice little bookmark, but once you saw, it's like, man, you got to be like 1 of 1% to make the league.
They say that like getting into the NBA is kind of like winning a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm like, I'm fortunate to be where I'm at. I don't care about the whole grind of the business and stuff because you have to be mentally wanting to do that. You have to be mentally strong to do that stuff. And I'm not saying I'm not mentally strong, but it's like I'm trying to catch up with people who have been doing it at a high level for a long time. I enjoy the environment. I like helping develop these people. I have a knack for that. Let's do that. I can coach. I can get them prepared because I know some of the things that I've missed that people can work on right now that will prepare them for that next level, that next step.
I think one of the times for me when I was like, you know what, maybe this is time for me to just kind of like stop pursuing this and stop playing basketball, you know what I'm saying, and just like focus on other things. I think every single athlete has that oh shit moment, you know what I'm saying? Where like, so when was that? If you didn't say it already, but when was that, and like, how was that for you?
That
oh shit moment. Like, you know what I'm talking about, Jordan. Like, it's like, oh shit, you know what? Like, I can't do this no more. Let me transition to the professional world or doing something else.
When, you go out there, you play basketball, you play pickup, and then the next generation comes up and you don't think they're as good as you. But then you get out there, you're just like, man, this dude does is play basketball. Yeah. And then white boys, these kids come out here doing these YouTube tapes, doing reverse dunks, like in practice.
They coming up now, man. They coming up, man. Not like back in the day, man. They talking about how white man can't jump. That is not the case now at all.
It's like if the white boys doing that and I see what we're doing, it's like, man, I'm not invested like these dudes. I'm not out here playing like that. I'm playing just for fun. So when I saw these kids doing these 360 dunks and warm ups and stuff like that, and I'm happy just getting like a little bunny hop dunk, I'm like, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. Nah, definitely, man. I mean, that's pretty much the same thing for me. So, okay, so after that, so what was your next step your next step after that when you were pretty much done with school and done with college ball and all that? Like, where was your crossroads there? Like, talk to me about that.
So I went out into the world. I worked a little bit. I was a trainer. It was nice in the sense that I got to help people, but I never thought it was the most productive way of helping people because I came from the athletic background. So, you'd have a client here, a client there, and you'd have to deal with like consistency and making sure that they're going to show up. With an athlete, you don't have to worry about it. They're going to do what you ask them to do because there's spots on the line. They want to play. There's a lot of whole different factors. So it was nice to be able to help people in the personal training sense. And I worked at Lifestyle before it got taken over by LA Fitness. So it was cool. It was nice.
That's right. It was taken over by LA Fitness. I forgot about that.
So it was cool to be able to do that, but it got old real quick. And I was just like, man, I might need to go back to school. That's why I ended up coming down to Miami, did the whole thing here, got into UM. They took a lot of my money.
You went to UM?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, grad?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, we got the bling bling over here, man. My bad. I'm sorry.
Got the ring on.
Okay.
But I'm a UCF guy first.
Yeah, man. You don't really talk about that, by the way. You keep that on the low. You know what I'm saying? You try to rep the Central Florida a lot, but you know what I'm saying? You don't. But you got smoke for UM as well too. That's kind of like. So talk to me about that.
Yeah.
Like, how's that dynamic?
So. It's funny. UCF is the school that's coming up, so they need more support than UM. UM is established, so when you come and talk to people down here, they're like, "Oh, did you go to UM?" And it's just like an icebreaker. It's like, yeah, I went to UM, but some people they'll just bark about it. It's like, oh yeah, I went there. It's cool. It was a nice school. It was a great campus, great people, and everything like that. So you don't have to do it as much. People just get really excited about it versus where we talk about UCF. They're like, oh, yeah, they had that football season that one time.
That's funny as fuck.
UM's like, oh, do you know The Rock?
Yeah. Hey, I mean, who else did they have? They had The Rock. They had
The Rock. They had Warren Sapp.
Jeremy Shockey, Ray Lewis. Shout out to Ray Lewis, by the way, my guy. Ed Reed.
Sylvester Stallone.
Wait, Sylvester Stallone went to UM?
Yeah, he went to UM.
Well, his old ass. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think they had a president.
Love you, Sylvester. My bad. It's all good.
Hey, yo.
Yeah. But, who else, real quick, before we move on?
They had a president. I don't know if Jennifer.
Frank Gore.
Yeah, we're just talking about the athletes.
Willis McGahee, Edwin James.
And Andre Johnson, the wide receiver Johnson, something like that.
Sean Taylor, rest in peace.
Shout out to Randy Shannon. He's our defensive coordinator. He's year 3 for our football team. He's been great. He's a head coach on defense for us, so we appreciate him.
So I think one of the great things that I'm actually getting to know you about is that, and this is kind of like a little bit of a synergy we have, is that like your personality and you being really, really personable with people. Because I remember the first time I met you and we were doing work, and we're going to get into like what you do in a minute, is that everybody just pretty much gravitates towards you. Everybody just kind of like relates to you. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's by choice or if it's like, you know what I'm saying, maybe you don't want to. Because you do seem kind of like a introverted or extroverted introvert.
It's just like anyone else. You got to get to know me and I'll open up.
Yeah. What's your sign?
Libra.
Okay. All right, no doubt. No wonder y'all freaking two got fucking man.
Got a shout out in the support section.
Yeah, right. So talk to me about having that personality trait and that being a strength for you into your entrepreneur realm.
So I was an only child, so you always had to learn how to make friends with people because it's like I like playing sports. You got to be able to vibe. You got to be able to deal with people in a good way. But just I can't say that I've had a bad life. I'd be lying to you if I said I did. And whenever you deal with people, you talk to people. You get an idea of where they've been and how they interact with you. So I've been blessed. And last thing you want to do is be negative when someone's trying to get fixed from you or get help from you. You got to be positive.
Yeah,
and then,
absolutely.
I grew up watching a lot of, Fresh Prince and stuff like that. And, one of those things, somebody comes up to me, people at the gym, it's like, oh, you remind me of Will Smith a little bit. And I'm all like,
I don't know about
And I'm
Will
all
Smith.
like-
I don't know about Will Smith.
That's what I said. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm trying to think like
I'm more like a Nick Cannon or
like a
something
Nick
like
Cannon. Or Cannon Play maybe.
Wow, I do need to go outside. I am getting a little.
I wasn't even. No.
I need to go get a tan.
No, that dude is like I forgot his name.
Appreciate you telling me.
Like, no, 'cause you got the high top popping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I wanted to grow it out, see how it looked. It was a little bit different. I could pull it off. I could pull it off. It's not a bad look.
So yeah. So my bad. You were saying.
No, you were good. So yeah, it just. I've always been a personable person. People have been good to me. I try to reciprocate, energy because you live long enough in this world, you start to realize it's like the energy thing is a big deal.
Yeah,
if you don't
absolutely.
have your stuff together, people aren't going to talk to you. And making money is social. Like if people don't want to talk with you or deal with you or just be around you, how you gonna make how you gonna make generational wealth? You can make money by yourself, but your network's going to suffer, and people aren't going to want to deal with you and help you out. So, I look at it like that. It's easy for me, but when you come from an environment where you work with a lot of people and there's a lot of dynamics, a lot of politics, you learn real quick. It's just be yourself, treat people how you want to be treated, and, the system's going to take care of itself.
Energy is so important, man, especially in this day and age because, we back, I would say maybe like back in the day, it's like a lot of people didn't really want to I guess mix their personal brand with their business and always try to separate it. But this day and age, man, I mean, you got to be able to skin a cat multiple ways. You got to be able to really be very, very personable and use that energy, accordingly.
Yeah, like you try to separate stuff, but you are your brand because even when you're not representing yourself, people remember you. And that's definitely one of the things that I'm always trying to work on, just pay attention to the experiences you have and try to take away what you did well, what you did bad, because not every time you work with somebody, you may think you did well, and then you get that text message or raggedy phone call saying, well, I thought you could have done this better and that. And
Talk to me about that. You're one of the calls you've ever had.
Oh, man.
You know what I'm saying? Dealing with people.
You work
or
with...
are we going back a little? Are we going forward a little bit? I'm sorry. Let's get into... So you pretty much got into Miami, right? And then now you went to UM and all that. Since we're already here, let's dive right into it. LockFit.
Yes.
When was the inception of that? Because I feel like that's very interesting.
Technically, it's always been incepted.
Oh, okay.
Technically.
Okay.
Because, you work, it's just you never put it on paper and stuff like that. So I think it was 2017, April, something like that, where I was just like, I need to go ahead and do this because, the tax purposes are splendiferous.
Yeah.
So I need to go ahead and do that and just try to make sure the brand, I can build something that reflects me and people can, gravitate to because people will know you. And it's always a good thing to have word of mouth. But now it's so social now. You have to have a greater reach. And if somebody just sees something and they associate with you, it's like, oh, you do that thing and you wear that thing, that shirt, and it says lock. And like, oh, that's a quick association. Lock fit. You keep going with it. It makes it easier for people to open up. And then it's another talking point.
Yeah, we definitely need to have multiple talking points to be able to just connect to people a lot better. So obviously LockFit is that's your last name, but do we have any other underlying meanings to that? Or no?
No. No.
Okay,
I take it back. I take it back.
I feel like there is.
My nickname was Lock when I played basketball because I would lock people down. So it was just an easy transition, even though my last name is Lock. So it was always that. And I was always into fitness. So I was like, oh, well, LockFit. Then turns out you look and see everyone is fit this or fit that. You're like, oh, I'm not special.
I got you. So now that I know that your company has been pretty much been around since 2017. In 2017, you were in South Florida, right? Or
I was
where
here.
were you?
I've been down here.
You've been down there for how long?
I've been here for like 7 years.
Okay.
It goes by quick.
Okay.
It goes by real quick.
So, what was? Talk to me about the trust that you have to build when it comes to what you do. So, actually, no, wait.
Well, no, it's a good question. It's a good question. So the trust, it is really determined by the vibes. When people see you do the type of work that I do.
And what do you do? Like that's
so I'll stretch people. I'll use tools like blades, guns, or whatnot. I'll do the training or whatnot. I'll evaluate people's posture and things like that. But because I'll use like maybe a hammer and a mallet on one person, then I'll come back and use a Graston blade on someone else. Or I may just do straps on a table with another person. Blades, guns, straps. There you go. So you'll go ahead and people will see that and they'll be like, oh, that's really interesting. It's different from what I see traditional trainers do because that's what I went to school for. I did the strength and conditioning. It was great. But then the first thing the coach says, we get into school, Bryan Lockley, great coach. He's at UM. And he goes, you guys messed up. You guys should have been physical therapists. We're like, what? Hold up. This is strength and conditioning, and you're going to tell us we should have been physical therapists. So that was a shock. So then I was like, man, we're going to have to understand this information he gives us, but have the knowledge of a therapist or a DC or chiropractor, whatever, in order to really be someone who could be helpful to their clients because you see it at the gym. You go out there. You see the stuff that happens. Yeah. And I don't want to be that person where it's like, oh, I can put you in a position, but I'm also hurting you at the same time, but I can't understand the reason why you're having these breakdowns, these issues, and now you can't train. Now you're depressed because you can't work out, and then it affects your livelihood, your psyche, all those things. So that was one of the things that I just kind of was like, man, I can do something with that, with this. So it really pushed me to work on my ability to be friends and help other people. And then that made me work harder because I've always been a hands-on guy. So once you know that you're hands-on and you have the eye for detail, it made it way easier for me to kind of transition and help people in that way. Friends, and then they'll want to work to be really, really good at what I do and help people.
Yeah, Miami has Miami's always been a very health-driven city.
Yep.
To a fault, I would feel like at times.
Hey, man, this scenery doesn't come cheap. I mean, this is a playground. You come out here, you got to look good because you're always on display.
But it's not only about feeling good, but it's also feeling good on the outside, but it's also feeling good on the inside.
Yes.
I feel like that's something that you definitely pride yourself on, more of like a holistic approach, right?
Yeah.
Give or take, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. It all works together. The body is one component, the spirit, and then, the mind. All those things have to work together. It sounds, yogi and all that stuff like that, hippie, whatever, but they're all three components that have to work together because you can have memories from an injury. Say like a guy like Kevin Durant, he tore his ACL, or not his ACL, his Achilles.
Achilles, yeah.
And, when he goes back out and plays at a high level, a lot of that stuff stays in the head.
Oh, really?
You have the physical component. They're like, oh, you're ready physically, but it's the mental component. Like you have to go out there and put yourself in that situation and do it. You have to do it over and over again before your body starts to get comfortable with it. But even then, it still may not be fully comfortable. It still may try to guard itself. So it's so important in really working on getting those areas to kind of meld together so you can be the best version of yourself because the body is always going to try to compartmentalize a lot of the stuff that it goes through in order for it to survive.
Do you think injuries are what, in a percentage, more physical or is it more spiritual and mental? So let me get into this. So with me personally, I have this Achilles problem that we've been working on for a long, long time. I've never really, for far as I can remember, I don't really remember me injuring or me kind of hurting it. But it's like whenever I see, I guess, because Achilles injuries is definitely like the most unpredictable injury in the human body. I feel like, is it? Like you don't, it can snap at any moment. Honestly,
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's like, okay, like I've definitely been taking care of it, but I'm taking care of it more because I'm mentally in tune, spiritually in tune with my body now, and I don't want to injure it. So it's like, can be like a deterrent or kind of like a counterproductive and may get us injured in certain aspects?
Yeah, I can go with that. I mean, it's all about the memory of what happened. If your body hasn't, if you haven't dealt with it, that's why they tell you, if you have a problem, you got to deal with it head on. You really have to go through that situation again and just, I may not remember it, but I know it's there. Let me think about all the things that I have gone through that may have put me in that position. You used to play football and basketball,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So, you're a big guy. What position did you play in football?
O-line, D-line, tight end.
So you could have had like micro tears because literally your whole thing is stance, your foot's flexed, and you're constantly stretched in that position. Then you go to another sport, basketball, where now it's asking you to jump off one leg, two legs consistently over and over again. So like you could have had a whole bunch of stuff going on, but because the body's so awesome, it's so like amazing, it's so marvelous in what it does.
Boy, you know what I'm saying, boy. Jordan, don't do that.
It's so marvelous in what it does. It's able to compensate and get you by. But when you get a little bit older and you start to have things start to break down and things start to slow up, then you're able to be like, hey man, just something's off. Let me try to figure out what's going on in the rest of my body, because that's the manifestation of the injury. But you may have issues in the core and the back and other parts of the body that aren't doing their job. So that's just where it happens. Now, granted, what you did, it sped it up because those are like super intense sports. But you have to look at it that way. You just try to put the pieces together as best you can.
Some of those ailments and injuries can be delayed as well too, though, right?
Yes.
Like just because you didn't hurt it entirely at that moment while playing sports, it can happen later.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that can go from like age of nutrition and all that, and diet and nutrition too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like people walking around with like labrum tears and they don't know it. You can have it for years and it may not hinder you from doing anything, just like certain other injuries. It's just the level at which it goes down. Like the Achilles it's one of those injuries. It's just really scary because it's just you walking and be able to do basic bending over, squatting, picking up things. It's just so intricate and stabilizing.
Is there a way that you can prevent that or strengthen the Achilles? I don't think so, right?
I mean, you can strengthen your feet and you can do those things. I think one of the best things you could do is have balance between the two lines. I mean, it's never going to be perfect. You really want to have the back line 2-to-1 because it's the posture line.
Got it.
You want it to be strong. So the posture line is the back of your head, lats, glutes, hamstrings, all the way down. It goes underneath your feet. So you having balance between those systems, or at least a favor 2-to-1. But most people are 2-to-1 the opposite way, so chest to back. So that's the reason why a lot of those guys get those injuries, like Kevin Durant. When you see him, how does he look when he walks?
He looks very like not powerful. Like he's not here. He's like more like here.
So think
and
about
that can
it.
be a contribution to.
It's major.
Okay.
You're playing a game and you're constantly in that position. You're always got tension on that back line, because if that connects to your head, and then it's all the way down to your feet, you're constantly in that fixed position where it's pulled up because your chest is pulling in through the front. Like the body works together. That's why you typically want the 2-to-1, because you want the back to be twice as strong.
Yeah, when my grandmother was alive, she would always, hit me in the back of in my back, in the middle of my back every time when I slunch over. So that's why rest in peace, God rest her soul. I thank her for having an erect, position. You know what I'm saying? Because if it wasn't for her, I'll definitely, because that being lunched over, right, and having that hunchback like that, right, it does shorten your life, literally, right?
It shortens your life.
Yeah.
It also has a lot to do with like anxiety and just like when you see someone walk and they got their chest up, they're confident.
Yeah.
They're excited.
Okay.
They're like,
Okay.
I'm Superman. Let's go. But then you see a person who's slouched and walking around.
Definitely,
what do you think their mental
They're
outlook
definitely
is
going
like?
through some things.
Yeah. And that's the perception of it. But the lifestyle and stuff that we live, I mean, you do a lot of the interviews, you work, I see you on the phone. A lot of the things that happen, we have the shoulders, they collapse in.
Yeah.
That affects your breathing once again. So if you're collapsed here and you can't breathe, that's less oxygen to the tissues. So then when you get posture and blood flow to your back, there's less stuff for that. So you're all like this, and now you're hunched over, you're walking around, now you're going to go play a game.
More tall people actually have that posture as well too, because I've always said that the earth is not fucking built for tall people and big people at all. like for real. Like that's why statistically proven, like real talk, like I'm gonna die sooner than y'all. Like it's gonna happen. I mean,
anymore. anymore. There was some. They're digging up some bones, and them femurs is like the size of me. So, but it just
like plane rides and freaking and cars. It's just like, fam. It's like, God.
You let the little people take over.
Yeah,
They
man.
made it.
Yeah, but this guy's a fucking comedian over here.
Who
is out? Who? But
shout out to Austin Creed. He has a great podcast. He's the New Day guy.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'll check it out. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So so we're pretty much where were we?
So we were talking about why LockFit came to be.
Yes. So I really want to know how your business and how you as a brand has been affected by the pandemic and everything that's been going on, COVID-19.
Well, it's forced me to, because I do a lot of hands-on stuff. It's forced me to kind of look and see how I can help people, not just in person, but virtually.
Okay.
Because like I started working at Elevation, I started getting a lot of clients, and like I had to start taking care of myself a little bit better because I was getting a lot of work. And when you're working on people hands-on, it's different than when you're standing off, like dictating to someone. So I started getting all the work, and I was just like, hey man, I gotta figure out a way to optimize this side of the business, the hands-on, and have more people virtually, which you were telling me that I got to work on as well. And
which we will work on. Yeah.
So that was the biggest thing. So it definitely went down for a little bit, but fortunately I did a good job of keeping my social network pretty good. I have some very good clients, very great clients, I should say, and they were willing to work with me during it. So I was able to get through. And then when things kind of opened up, I was already kind of on a downhill. I was kind of gaining momentum at Elevation. So I was actually making more coming out of it, and then had to like pump the brakes a little bit because a lot of opportunities came up. I was like, let me make sure I have my house organized so I can take everything in, because people were looking for an opportunity to work and get better because they realized that the whole system is about to change. So it's like, I got to be my best self.
When you were talking about, when you just said about, when you had a lot of clients and you had to like, pump the brakes, you seem like a person that's kind of like a one-man band man. And
my dad, he is the epitome of that.
Okay.
My dad, he went to Bethune-Cookman, so, shout out to the Wildcats, historically black college.
Yep, HBCU.
And then he was an engineer at NASA. And while he was at NASA, he still had his own landscaping business. So he would go to work, wake up like 5 o'clock. Then, he might maybe do a little work on some of the machines before he went to the Cape. And we lived in Daytona or whatever. So he would drive about an hour or so to get out there, work out there all day. And, there's not too many black engineers back when he was heading departments or heading areas.
Because, that day, what year was that? That was
like the 80s.
Yeah, I know. Facts.
So, and he was an extremely confident guy. So, he would tell people how he felt, but because he was so good at what he did, he was good at it. But then on the flip side, because he's so technical, when you're a technician, you tend to lock yourself in, and it's harder for you to work with groups. So I saw him doing that a lot growing up with his landscaping. He had one or two guys who would come on and off. He's got one guy now that he works with because he's similar to him. But it's so easy to want to do everything yourself, and you have to work with your team, because I like being a team guy more. But you can, you can work on stuff that's your own, and you don't have to worry about someone not working as hard or the quality going down because it's you. But when you have to give that okay to someone else to work, it's hard.
It is hard. But for your business to grow, you have to let it go.
You have to let it go. So that's been the biggest thing. That's why I had to stop back. It's like, I can't go back into the same way I was doing it before, because I'm just going to wear myself out.
Yeah.
So
I mean, every single person has not even 24 hours. Let's just say shave off 5 or 6 hours of sleeping. 18 hours basically a day. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Within those 18 hours a day, you as a person, you cannot do everything your damn self. You know? But you can delegate. You can basically put people and allocate services to certain people and build a team. And I think that's one of the things that people in the fitness and wellness industry, I don't know, maybe you can answer this for me, is like they're starting to like get together. What do you think?
So go back to my dad, he's still doing it now. He's retired, he's doing it. But I've seen how much it's worn him down. So I was like, man, you can't go out here and do all these hours. And you have to be able to build someone up and trust them to do it so they can help make you do what you do a lot better. But that's the first step. And then when you start talking about, hey, I wanna make sure that I work with other groups. Now you got people coming up with you. They see what you do. Now they want to be like, hey, do you have an internship or do you have this? And people will talk about how they want to do something, but you got to see how somebody works, because everybody, you know how it is. People ask you for opportunities, but then when it comes time, it's like, hey, I need you here at this time, or where are you at? And then the excuses start coming up.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, it's a trust issue. People don't line up what they say with what they do.
Yeah, no, definitely. So back to the pandemic and everything and the craziness has been freaking happening, man. You know what's funny for me? I've never really been a person that has a strong grip on recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the pandemic and COVID has really kind of woken me up and opened up my eyes to the just like, you know, the importance of recovery and really taking care of yourself. Because I mean, I recover more than I work out now, you know, and me not only being 33 also, but because of what's been happening, honestly, in this world, it kind of made me do a check on my mortality, because at the end of the day, we're not going to be here forever.
Exactly.
And I want to be able to like prolong that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just want to say, like, what are your thoughts on that?
Recovery is key. Like, you have to, your workouts are only as good as your last recovery, honestly, because you keep building up, but you're putting stuff in the bucket, but you're not putting anything back in.
Got it. Okay.
So you're wearing yourself down. You see it at the gym.
Yeah.
These guys will come up to me like, oh, I need you to fix this. Like, well, what did you do last time after you worked that for 2 hours? What did you do to recover? How did you, offset it? Oh, well, I stretched for five seconds, 10 seconds. Okay. All right. Well, this is where you're in the position that you're in. It's like taking a car and
nobody stretches, bro.
No.
Nobody.
No. Well, I take it back. At our gym, the girls stretch.
Yes. Well, yes.
But the stretches they do, they're a little more involved.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ. No, I just
Elevation's a different gym.
Yeah, Elevation's definitely a different beast. I would definitely say in that gym, women definitely take care of themselves as far as like holistically and stretching wise. Obviously, way more than men.
Yeah, you'll mess around. You'll hurt a couple of vertebrae at Elevation. You'll get that cervical lock.
Yeah, man. So the reason why I brought that up, man, is because there is a big problem we have right now in the athletic world, in my opinion. I don't know if you know David Alexander from DBC Fitness. Shout outs to him. Shout outs to David. He came out with a bunch of videos talking about, like non-contact injuries. And we've spoken about that before the pod. The dude from Dallas, oh my God, I just has his name. We were just talking about him. Porzingis. He had a non-contact injury. Gerald McCoy, he had a non-contact injury. And a couple others. And it's definitely becoming alarming to the fact that I really feel like that these trainers are not really catering to the specific training and the specific methods for these athletes. And I really think that they're like fucking overworking them and overtraining them.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing with a lot of those guys are you have to be very obsessive when you're working with athletes. Like, what's his name? Tim Grover. And you see in his interviews, he'll tell you, he's all like, when Michael Jordan had a game, I looked at how many steps he took. I saw how many minutes he played. I saw how many times he dribbled right, how many times he dribbled left, because I should know exactly how my athlete's doing. So when you start taking on multiple athletes and it's just you, or, you do your workouts and stuff, that's cool, but you have to know what they're doing in game, how many steps they're taking during the sessions they're with you. And you have to really honestly, you need to be following them around, because you need to be with them to see how they're doing day to day with all their activities and see how their psyche, mental, all that stuff is going. It's really it's not just show up at the gym and do it. So you really be with them more. Now, with a lot of those injuries, a lot of those guys, the people who hire the trainers that they're with, 99% of them, they're buddies of the guy, and they're just getting hooked up or whatnot.
Oh, really?
A lot of them are.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
you'll see it. You know, you want to you want to take care of your people. Now, fortunately, there's a lot more information out there, and people are trying to do a lot more with the recovery and everything like that. But for the most part, their foundations are kind of like, You know, you have a guy, and then you got like a ACE certification. Nothing wrong with say ACE, but if you're going to be strength and conditioning somebody, you can't train a guy how you would train a regular person and do the same methods, and you're not like obsessively looking at the issues that this person is going to be dealing with. Like, say you got somebody who's got a groin pull, and then you go into a training program and you train your left and your right leg the same way. Do you think your athlete's going to keep having the same injury over and over again because you're training them the same exact way, but they've got a discrepancy to one side?
Yeah.
Like, you have to look at things like that.
Yeah.
But you have to have someone who wants to go that far with their clients in order to get those great results.
And a lot of these trainers need to just fucking stop like with these crazy ass fucking workouts. For real. I'm not gonna say the trainer.
The beach body workouts?
Not even that, bro. Bro, this one trainer had this dude, Alvin Kamara, looking crazy. Have you seen it? Please tell me you have seen it.
I didn't see it, but
okay, can I tell you what? Have you seen it?
Please.
Dog, it's ridiculous, right? Dog. So it's like it's a barbell, right? And he has weights attached to it, with like kind of like weights attached to it with
like chain weight.
No, not chain weights, but rubber resistance bands. And then attached to the resistance bands, there are like 3 or 4 kettlebells at the bottom. And he's doing like this, like step here, step back, step forward, step to the side, step diagonally. I'll show it to you later. No, it's fucking ridiculous. No, it's like, dog, I was waiting for like this man to tear up some shit. And a lot of these workouts, man, is not conducive according to their position. Because no fucking running back is going to be doing that crazy shit, dog. I'm sorry.
I mean, the nervous system.
No, dog. I'm sorry. No, not like that.
No, like the nervous system.
Well, whoever you were working with was fucking nuts. That's all I know.
I mean, the nervous system's going to be set at a certain point. I mean, you'll be able to get a little bit after, but it sounds like some of the stuff that you're talking about is a little much. But,
I'll show you the video afterwards. Watch.
But, you know, you get guys trying to make a name for themselves doing crazy stuff as opposed to just stuff that works.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can only see the picture because it's uploading. But like, yeah, there you go. Look at this. You have done that before?
Yeah, because he's countering everything.
But that's literally like cringeworthy in my opinion.
I don't know how he started up his stuff, so I'm not gonna knock it. But I know there's people who get very special with what they do. I don't know if I would do that with my clients, but if he has the rhyme and reason for it, more power.
So there's a lot of sports, right? You know, we have football, we have basketball, we have tennis, we have all that stuff. Like, as you as a trainer, as a wellness person, as a recovery expert, like what do you feel like is your expertise that you love to work on?
I would just I like football. Football is just interesting because it's good work because there's always contact. So, you know, if I do soft tissue work with somebody, there's always work for me. I do like the movements of the particular players and stuff like that. So corners, that would be more conducive to what I do with basketball people because corners have to be able to cover. Only thing different, they have to tackle people, but they have to be able to go in all directions and stuff like that. So I would probably say football and then basketball. That answers the question.
Yeah, no, definitely. So
you could do other stuff. You just do your research, but I would gravitate towards those because I watch so much more of those sports. So I see the movement patterns and get an idea of what they need to be able to be successful.
So and this is like for me, just looking from the outside in, when I see a person that played collegiate sports or played, you know, professionally, right? And they get into the other side of the sport, which is basically recovery, training and all that. Did you fall into that because of the love that you have for treating athletes and taking care of athletes, or do you do it? This could be a both answer question, or do you do that into like to try to like vicariously live through the athletes?
No, like,
Because I know some trainers that do.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
they try to upstage the athlete and stuff like that. No, I've always had a knack. Like people come up to me, advice and stuff. They're like, "Oh, you're a coach, this, blah blah blah." So I've always liked the interpersonal aspect of working with people. But I've always like you said it. Are we allowed to talk about certain things? Because I know you said you had. I saw.
No,
So
go ahead.
I saw you had some Legos. I saw you had some Legos.
Yeah.
So I got a tumbler. I have a Lego tumbler. So
Yes,
no
and
judgment.
I am 33 years old, and I have Legos. All right,
Yes.
so leave me the fuck alone.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you. Good.
Yes.
All right, because people will be
Yeah,
like,
man,
"Oh,
people are weird, dog.
So I had Legos. Like I always like building. I like details and stuff like that. And then getting an opportunity to work with your hands and just being patient. Like I have no problem like sit in front of somebody and be like, oh, this person's hand's not doing this, or they're not rotating like that. Like I can literally sit there and just work on stuff like that and be completely good. But then you add the component with team sports and success. Like I do want to work with UCF again. That would be great, but like in a strength conditioning capacity, because at the end of the day, you know how it goes in these sports. These guys, like when they get hurt, they'll get help, but after a workout, unless they do something with the team, which like maybe like 5-10 minutes or whatever, these guys are basically super athletes.
Yeah.
They're compensating. They're so awesome that they can compensate and they can get by until they get to the NFL or whatever, and we're really just not messing them up to where they can't compete. So for me, it was just like, well, there's definitely a need there, and there needs to be more education for the athletes, because once they get out of fitness, like a lot of the guys, it becomes a completely different ballgame. It's like they don't know how to take care of themselves because they haven't been taking care of themselves when they're there. They're just next man up, let's get by, let's get through the game and stuff like that. So I always wanted to help in that regard and be a part of that team environment, and also do some things where it's like, well, if they win, I'd like to get some rings and stuff like that too. Like I'd like to go to some of these games and stuff because I enjoy the process of winning, and that's another way where I can contribute, be a part of the team, and still help other people. And it's nice to be there, but I don't need to live through the athletes.
But
like
what's most important, to be a part of something that you feel like you can definitely maybe win some accolades, or continue to do what you're doing and build a brand and build a legacy?
Continue to do what I'm doing and build a brand, because all this other stuff will take care of itself. I'm just selfish in the sense that it's like I like UCF, and I know what I do can help them, so I want them to be better than all the other schools so they can move up in the pecking order. So
yeah, because if you're at a certain stage, to have a brand like you have, right? You've been working there for God knows how long. Isn't it true that once you do work for like a prestigious UCF, you might be there forever, honestly, and that can be problematic.
And that was the thing. It's like you could work with those teams, but then you're so stuck in a certain area with them. It's like you can't really do the other things that you want to do. So you want to get good enough with your brand that people know you, where it's like, oh, you could be a consultant.
Yeah.
You can come in and do that. Then you can do the other stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of getting in the side door or whatnot.
I kind of see you doing that, man, and being like an athletic consultant, and then like consulting all these universities. I want my 10%, by the way.
It's all right. I'll give you 12.
All right, no problem.
I'll give him 12. You see that?
Good. Cool. I thought he was going to say 2.
No.
So this has been definitely great, man. So a few things before we wrap up.
Oh man, we're almost done. Man.
Yeah, I mean, we would have been done if it wasn't for this freaking hour conversation we had.
About that guy.
We're not doing that.
About that guy. We're
not doing that. All right, we're not. This is not
LeBron Goat James.
Damn, Marvin, you right over there? All right, cool.
Allegedly.
Goat James. But looking at all of these athletic trainers, all these rehab specialists, people who are coming up, everybody that looks up to you. I'm pretty sure that people that do look up to you. What advice and what guidance do you give a person that is starting, from all your trials and tribulations that you've had?
Get around people who do the stuff that they say that they do. Like get around them and see how their clients, recover, see the results. You got to get around those people, because those people typically are about their business. They're going to force you to work harder. They're going to make you better at what you do. And then you just keep learning. I mean, honestly, the information is the same. It's just somebody's point of view versus somebody else's point of view. But when you go out there and you test it out, this person's rhetoric will work in this situation. This person's rhetoric will work in another situation. So go out and do it for yourself and just be willing to learn. Like, if you're willing to do that, you'll be fine.
Yeah, and also, if you would say too, get rid of the ego too, right?
Yes.
Like, it's not about you; it's about the client. It's about the client. It's about the safety and the well-being of the client.
Definitely. You'll have clients who you think you do a good job, but then they'll come back and be like, "Oh, well, you could have did this or that."
Oh, and actually, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about real quick the times where you've had some trials and tribulations with clients and what you have learned from that.
You have to communicate. Like, it's one of those things I've constantly had to work on, because you said that yourself. I tend to be a person who wants to work by myself, and just because I think I do something well doesn't mean the person I'm working on thinks it's well. Mm-hmm. So if you don't talk to someone, case in point, I had a client, they came up, they're like, "Hey, let me get a release or whatnot." So it's all like, "Oh, okay, work on your back or whatever, and we'll get some blood flow there, and we'll release you or whatnot." Now, that person's interpretation of a release was completely different. It was like, when people get the blades or the tools and they're like all beat up and red and scarred up and everything like that, I'm like, I'm not doing that. You said a release. So when you say this particular thing and that particular thing, you have to talk to them and be specific, because you did what you thought you were supposed to do, but they were like, "That's not what I wanted." They wanted a completely different feeling of what you gave them, but you gave them what you thought they wanted. So you have to know, and it's one of those things you have to constantly keep working on it, because it's easy to get caught up in your own brain.
Okay. That must be annoying.
Yeah.
Bless you. Yeah.
It is, but it's on you to listen to them, because the person who dictates your value is the market, your clients, who people come up to you. So, you always want to give them what they don't have, but at the end of the day, you still have to give them what they came in for. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that is a good way to put it, but I think that would be, you got to take care of what they need, but you got to try to give them what they don't have.
Nah, definitely, man. That was good. I think that's it.
Yes.
Think that's it. Oh, you ready to be out of here?
No.
I'm joking.
Man.
Before we go, appreciate the talk, man, honestly.
No, this was great. We had, you guys didn't see it. Like, I wish some of it was recorded before, but we had an at-length discussion about basketball.
Discussion about basketball and the GOATs and all that.
About Michael Jordan.
Yes,
and LeBron James and the guy who spray painted things on his Brentwood home.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so before we start arguing again, just shout you out, basically, shameless plugs, where we can find you, exactly what you do and all that, and anything you pretty much want to say about your brand. We can definitely get you out there. All
right. Support the brand. Well, support this man. Thank you for, we got to support the businesses.
Thank you.
All the way from the staff. These two gentlemen, they're doing their thing too. Hopefully they get their shout outs as well.
Right. They're okay.
Wait, man. Jeez. Oh,
kidding.
Allegedly
kidding.
LockFit Pro is on IG, pretty much put in the LockFit brand. You can see it, but blades, guns, and straps. I mean, everybody does similar things, but I'm just trying to show it in a different way so people will come up and it'll be a little interesting. When people see tools and you start working on them, they're like, "Hey, man, what's that?" So, just trying to stand out and, give me a little bit of different, a USP, a unique selling property in the market. So I do that, and I'm just trying to build the brand, try to be good with people, try to take care of them. If I'm good, tell somebody. If I'm not, don't say nothing. So
where can we find you?
Once again, IG LockFit Pro. Twitter, I think it's LockFit. Just simple stuff. Keep it simple. I'll add more stuff, but the LockFit Pro is the easiest one on IG.
Cool.
Simple.
And when he says blades, guns, and straps, he's meaning anything that's nonviolence.
Yes.
All right.
And that's why the name is so good.
Yeah, we got to make that clear. All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
My man.